change management to me is a core component of supply chain improvement, and virtually my whole career has been nothing but coming into a situation and turning it around. I mean, to be honest, I've never walked into any kind of situation where either a new department didn't need to be built, or we weren't in trouble with customers or had a real poor performing business. In one case, I was recruited by a search firm to start a demand planning and an S&OP process. But what they didn't tell me was that 2 people had tried and failed beforehand. So I didn't know what I was going to be in for. And thank goodness I was successful. And I think as I look back on it, one of the reasons why I was successful is because we had the right change management organization to make it happen. So I'll talk a little bit more about that to really institutionalize it, because it really was critical. So, you know, as Rob mentioned, so I really appreciate that nice introduction. A lot of what I got involved with was sort of from the outside in, you know, customer-driven process redesign. And so, you know, that was a lot of the driver of change, whether it was a major customer or just poor customer service driving it, or even inventory or plant performance. I also got involved with metrics implementations, and of course, it's not enough just to have the numbers there, it's what are you going to do about it? What are the change aspects that you're going to bring to the party when you highlight that something is going in the wrong direction or needs improvement? So really, really critical there to do that. And of course, S&OP implementations and IDP, it's a favorite subject. It's cross-functional. You really have to engage the other functions besides supply chain and get them as excited and as pumped up, and understand that working on the business and moving it ahead for the benefit of achieving plan is required across all the functions. And that takes a lot of change, and it's pretty much leader-driven. The only comment, you know, so as I mentioned, we are involved with performance improvement. The only reason why I really put that up here was really to say that some companies, when they bring in a consultant, have change management as a separate practice. We're a smaller group, so we have it as part of our, included as part of our methodology. So anytime you put in a new process system or make an organizational change, it's fundamentally part of the process we do, and I really do think that's fairly critical. Okay, so it's interesting in doing research for this topic, because I think what I learned is that there's not an awful lot of brand new research on this topic. Probably the best thing that I found was a study done by Towers Watson in 2013 about change management, and so I'm going to reference that later on as well. But basically, as you can imagine, companies that are effective with their change management and communication are 3.5 times more likely to significantly outperform their industry peers. And so what we mean by outperform is related to financial metrics, you know, stock price and other things, and as well as the change itself, where they can accomplish the change that they want to make. So that's what we mean by outperform. Again, if anybody wants to look at the study or read the study, it's actually pretty well written here. So it pays for it. Now, here's a question, and raise your hand if you felt this. You know, why is this so difficult for us? And this is really not a supply chain issue so much, but, you know, have you experienced, this is where, you know, you can raise your hand if you've experienced this. Why do people nod their head yes to a major announcement of a change, and then privately to you, you know, at lunch or in the water cooler say, nah, you know, I don't think this is really going to work. They express that skepticism. You know, why do they accept the change and say, yes, we're going to do this, and then as it becomes close to the time to actually make a change, shift a system, change a process, they all of a sudden you want to delay as you go live. Even at a broad picture, you know, it may be so obvious to you that you need to change something and change your performance or behavior, but why is it so difficult to really work on getting that to be recognized? Why is it so difficult to get people to move out of their comfort zone is something that we often see. Then on a more personal level, you know, after the changes happen, how do I get affected? What's in it for me? And then what happens if we don't make it? Which is something we don't like to feel. So how many of you have experienced that?